Greetings and welcome to this Applied Jainism presentation, which focuses on the meaning and purpose of Jain Dipāvalī celebration. My name is Balabhadra. The original intention of this video was to present a recount of the origin of Jain Dipāvalī in a drama play format, so that it can be performed as part of the festival celebration. The recount was compiled from 3 sources, which when combined became a cohesive whole. Upon completion of the recount, it became apparent that there was a need to present the meaning and the purpose of the celebration, and to validate the meaning of the purpose according to Jain scriptures. What is the purpose of the celebration? Is it simply to recognize and celebrate the moksha of Lord Mahavira? Or is the purpose more complex? Is there more meaning to the celebration that would give purpose to our lives? Without having meaning, what would be the personal purpose? In other words, how is the celebration relevant today, and what is the validity, the truth, underlying what is relevant? The recount had also become an entity unto itself. Reflection recognized the recount existed as a mega sutra, containing additional sutras. Reflection also extracted a particular excerpt which leads to the essence of reality, which is the essence of the Jain teaching, both of which are essentially the same, and which will be outlined in this video. When organizing the script for Part 2, an unexpected realization occurred, which confirms the wisdom of the adage. This realization came. The Dipāvalī story presented in Part 1 is from the Jain tradition. It is a Jain story that recounts the origin of Jain Dipāvalī, and the Jain tradition has a specific understanding of reality. As such, examination and statements made regarding the story should be in accordance with the Jain understanding of reality, which is Anekāntavāda. The essence of Anekāntavāda is, for something to exist, it must have the structure of these 3 elements. The Anekāntavāda-based examination procedure very quickly leads to greater and greater insight details and complexity. One insight statement leads to more insights, which in turn lead to more insights, and so on. To keep the presentation manageable within the framework of this video, the examination presentation will be based on Anekāntavāda, which in turn will demonstrate the Anekāntavāda procedure. Part 2 of the recount story is complex, and the knowledge therein is interwoven like the many threads of a tapestry. This Anekāntavāda examination will follow one particular thread to reveal truth of the essence of the thread itself. According to Anekāntavāda, if a thing exists, it must have 3 aspects: what it is not, and what it is and what it is not. From a Jain standpoint, the story recounted in Part 1 is a thing that exists. As an existent, it is appropriate and necessary in the interest of accuracy that the examination of the story be done according to the Jain Anekāntavāda understanding of reality. That is, non-one-sided reality, and statements made according to the two central principles of Anekāntavāda, Nyāvāda, the method of standpoints, and Shyādvāda, the method of conditioning and qualifying a standpoint. The Anekāntavāda framework will provide structure for presenting the comments, and Anekāntavāda will show its power to examine the recount and identify, clarify, bring forth, organize, and make assertions. Applying Anekāntavāda to the Dipāvalī recount means it has these three aspects: what it is not, and what it is and what it is not. We can now examine the recount, beginning with the particular standpoint of what it is. From a standpoint of simple, the story is a recount of the origin of Jain Dipāvalī. Being simple, the story is like a sutra. It is easy to remember, and upon reflection reveals further meaning. Can we expect there will be complexity and further meaning than the simple recount? We can expect because of the Anekāntavāda structure. Anekāntavāda structure determines that when simplicity occurs, complexity must occur also, plus both in relationship. Reflection reveals the simple story has complexity, meaning there will be more meaning than a simple recount. Examination does reveal the simple story has complexity. From a particular standpoint, there is complexity of scholarly, literary construction. The story is comprised of literary elements and techniques. It contains symbolism, imagery, metaphor, setting, mystery, mood, poetry, character, and narration. For example, a dipa is a symbol representing a vessel, which represents a body form, which supports and enables the metaphor of light, which represents illumination, clarity, understanding. Applying Anekāntavāda would mean there is also the metaphor of darkness opposing the light. In addition, the recount complexity is an example of the significant literary, religious, and philosophical contribution that Jainism has made to India culture, and now with English translations to Western culture. From another standpoint, examination reveals the recount is complex with allegorical meaning, representing knowledge recorded in the Jain scriptures. There is one special excerpt recounted by the narrator that is itself a complex sutra. It is a sutra that contains a sutra that upon examination reveals the essential allegorical meaning of the Dipāvalī story. The Master's truth-revealing and soul-illuminating light of knowledge. Here, within this excerpt, is the allegory excerpt that is the essence-revealing sutra. It is a metaphor that becomes the focus of Anekāntavāda analysis to reveal meaning and purpose for celebration. The excerpt is light of knowledge. Light represents illumination, clarity, understanding, knowing. Light dispels darkness. Darkness is a metaphor for unknowing, a state of consciousness that is unaware, incomprehensive. Light represents knowledge, which changes the unknowing state of consciousness to knowing consciousness. Light illuminates reality. Darkness conceals reality. Knowledge exists and knowledge does not exist, plus the exists and not exist continuum. From Anekāntavāda standpoint, there exists true and correct knowledge, and there exists false and incorrect knowledge. And third, knowledge exists as a continuum of partial true and partial false. And if there is intended meaning and purpose for us, naturally we would want the knowledge to be true. Thus the question, what is the truth of the knowledge? In other words, how do we know the knowledge is accurate and true and represents the light? The answer is found in the entire excerpt, the Master's truth-revealing and soul-illuminating light of knowledge. The excerpt states, "The light of knowledge is truth-revealing and soul-illuminating." Note the sequence of these two descriptive phrases. From a particular standpoint, the two descriptives are independent, and from another standpoint, the two are related. From the related standpoint, this ordered sequencing is understood as being deliberate. The light of knowledge is truth-revealing, which in turn is soul-illuminating. The light of knowledge reveals illuminating truth about soul. For something to be absolutely true, it must be always true, meaning true eternally. If it were not so, what is being considered true could be, from another standpoint, false. Or, from another standpoint, what is being considered true could be relative. In other words, correct from a particular time and circumstance. For example, Jain scriptures state truth of the knowledge of Lord Mahavira and the other 23 Tirthankars is eternal, everlasting. Yet, from another standpoint, it is relative, in that while remaining everlasting, it is revealed only at a particular time and particular situation of the eternal time cycles. What is the knowledge that is true eternally and revealed and recorded in the Jain scriptures, which can give our lives meaning and purpose? In essence, at the basic ontological level, the knowledge is the existence of 6 eternal, independent substances of which the universe is comprised: soul, matter, space, time, motion, rest, which Jainism terms reals. And the meaning of these reals, for us, is their interaction, particularly with soul and matter, in which we see the purpose, the liberation and independence of soul from matter. From the standpoint of Dipāvalī celebration, what is true and relevant, that is, the 6 reals, is expressed in the Jain tattvas. From the ontological standpoint, the tattvas reveal the meaning and purpose of Dipāvalī, purify and separate soul from its association with matter. The tattvas include the knowledge of the eternal substances plus the meaning of their relationship. Specifically, the truth revealed, that is, soul illuminating, is the existence of soul substance and soul's relationship with matter substance. In this regard, from a particular standpoint, soul illuminating means the knowledge which reveals the situation of soul, its bondage with matter, and the striving of the soul to be liberated from this bondage. As long as soul is in relationship with matter, it will be exposed to the creation, preservation, destruction characteristics of matter, and experience the ever-changing effects of the nature of matter. The example of the moksha of Lord Mahavira testified that liberation is possible. From a relevant standpoint, soul illumination knowledge that is a cause of celebration is the recording in the presently available scriptures of the means by which soul, our soul, can become free of the relationship. From an ideal standpoint, soul is pure and independent. From a practical standpoint, soul is impure and in relationship with matter. Freedom from matter exists, means to free soul from matter exists. From another standpoint, soul illumination can be understood as soul recognizing its true, pure nature, the existence of its pure self. The meaning of Jain Dipāvalī is to celebrate liberation knowledge. The purpose of Jain Dipāvalī is to celebrate the meaning. At the time of Dipāvalī, we celebrate truth, which is based on the existence of reality at its most basic level. Truth which has meaning, which gives our lives purpose. The liberation of our soul from matter. We celebrate Dipāvalī because Lord Mahavira, with his example, followed the tradition of the previous 23 Tirthankars, validated and demonstrated that separation of soul from matter can be attained, and through his teaching, recorded in the scriptures, provides the way for others to follow. The entire understanding is summarized in this Jain Adage Sutra. Jain Adage Sutra. Soul exists. Soul is the real eternal me. In the perfect liberated state, soul is independent and pure. In the imperfect relationship with matter state, soul is embodied and impure. Soul is striving to be pure and liberated from matter. Liberation exists. The way to liberation exists, the Jain way. Lord Mahavira provides the example of liberation and teaches that liberation is possible, and Jainism in the scriptures provides the means by which liberation can be attained. Jain scriptures provide the logic by which Lord Mahavira's example can be understood, validated, accepted, and adopted using one's own reasoning. There is additional allegory, more threads in the tapestry. For example, from a particular standpoint, as a Tirthankara, Lord Mahavira, during the time of his preaching, exemplified the light of knowledge. From another standpoint, after the moksha of Lord Mahavira, his light was gone. Yet from another standpoint, the light remained in the form of knowledge, related to the Ganadhars and Jain saints that came after, resulting in the scriptures that exist and remain available to this day. From a particular standpoint, Lord Mahavira was the vessel. Liberation knowledge is the light. There is additional allegory, more threads in the tapestry. One particular allegory excerpt is recognized in Lord Mahavira's advisory words to Gautam, expressed in poetic form. Gautam, be careful all the while. The knowledge to which the excerpt refers is recorded in the scriptures and explained by Anekāntavāda. The Jain tradition is fundamentally about separating and freeing soul from its attachment with matter particles, the process known as liberation. Symbolically, this process is termed in Sanskrit Vitrag. English translation, victory over attachment. The scriptures indicate that attachment, for even the noblest of reasons, such as Gautam's love for his great guru teacher, is an impediment to liberation. Lord Mahavira recognized this impediment to Gautam's liberation and encourages him by repeating the cautionary words, Gautam, be careful all the while. Anekāntavāda also explains why Lord Mahavira could offer no further assistance toward Gautam's liberation other than words. There is a Jain adage, all souls are independent. The meaning of the adage, as explained by Anekāntavāda and shown by the limit of Lord Mahavira's assistance, each individual is responsible to make the effort for their own liberation. No other person or entity can intervene on one's behalf. The account recorded in the scriptures of Lord Mahavira's solitary experiences after becoming a Jain Muni demonstrates the necessity of individual effort. This clear understanding of individual responsibility gives rise to the feeling of freedom which occurs at the time of Dipāvalī celebration. We do not need to be attached and dependent on others to intervene on our behalf. We celebrate the freedom of being the master of our destiny toward liberation using Jain light of knowledge. That's enough for now. Take time to reflect, reason, and celebrate the light of knowledge.
Om Jai Mahavir Prabhu, Swami Jai Mahavir Prabhu. Om Jai Mahavir Prabhu, Om Jai Mahavir Prabhu, Swami Jai Mahavir Prabhu. Om Jai Mahavir Prabhu, Om Jai Mahavir Prabhu.
Namaste. I bow to your eternal energy with consciousness soul, the real you.